Zoodiac strikes while Calvin does not.
Yeah, that match that we had was like what got me into the game. Yeah. I was like, damn. Like,
that was a good format.
It was just a good match. Yeah.
You could actually like set back those.
Alright, also roll good then.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we said all that. We're not even on live yet.
Oh,
No, we were.
We were live, yeah.
Cool.
You talk.
No, you did well.
All right, guys. We have Nick Ma, Brian Pham, and Vincent.
Vince Bellafiore.
All right, you can't do something like that.
Dice.
Yes.
Well, correctly it would be die because it's singular, but.
All right. Pro or Max C?
We can't commentate on their grammar today.
Neither.
So in this play, which is one of my favorite, since they both know that they're playing DD Crow, in the normal summon of Rat, there's a few different lines you can approach it with. If you approach it traditionally, such as this, where you go keeping the Rat underneath and never letting it touch the graveyard, it doesn't play around Ghost Ogre. But despite the deck list, this is just a general statement that Ghost Ogre right now is a very popular card. You can start off with Boar and then Broad Bull to special. It plays around the maxi in the sense that you will get an extra value in your Broad Bull, and then you can put Dryden on top. So it gives your opponent a +1, but then you get a Dryden and an extra card in your hand. But in this one, it never lets Rat touch the graveyard to be prone to DD Crow. So here you have...
Neither of them are playing Ghost Ogre, right?
No, they're both playing DD Crow, though.
So then, yes. There would be no reason for them to do that, thankfully.
Rat and Tiger.
Yep.
Although Emerald's a little bit risky sometimes, but it's fine. You have to do it anyway.
So if Frazier did have Crow in his hand, where would be a good position to Crow during the Black Sheep combo?
Trap me up. Not like this. Well, my monsters aren't doing anything, so might as well.
If you're looking for the deck list of these players, you can find them on the ARG Circuit Series page.
Tiger Rat.
There's a Google Drive link that you can click on. It has everything from the top 16.
That is fine.
Feel free to use those as references as you watch the stream, guys.
Special. Yep.
So we were saying before, the Black Sheep combo does put you ahead 2 additional cards. But in Frazier's deck, compared to Calvin's, Frazier doesn't play Dark Hole or Raigekis, but he plays XYZ Universe. But Frazier did open up the Fusion Substitute. Let's see where this goes. And only 1 trap, unfortunately.
I know it's on him. I know who it's on. Wait, what is it? What do we have? We just started. We literally just started. Tell the team. I thought he was playing. I know he's on that. I was like, I saw that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like Joel. Let me know when Life Soul changes.
Yeah, 2 rats in my band.
Let me know when Life Soul changes. It's okay. Okay.
I was thinking about playing 3 Emerald before the event, too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to cut, but I actually really like the idea.
I've never actually made the 3rd one, but because I had the 3rd one.
How many of
always
each
do
Zoodiac
It's actually
monster
doing
does the
something
player
regardless. It's
play?
not- yeah. You have to put that
Calvin
on
plays
right
3
now.
Rat, 3 with tail, 1 Thoroughblade.
Oh, the extra deck
I'm sorry,
monsters.
Frazier. Oh, extra
I
deck
guess like
monsters?
the amount of Thoroughblades as well as the amount of XYZs each player plays would be a good piece of information for everyone to know.
Frazier plays 2 of every Zoodiac in the extra deck, and Calvin plays the same, 2 of every.
Alright.
How many Thoroughblades does each player play?
Frazier plays 1 Thoroughblade, and yeah, they both play 1. Wow, those
So
are
they all have equal.
yeah,
It's
those
a
are
very similar list, yeah.
Setting that for sure.
The differences is like Sanctum,
Setting that for sure.
Universe, and Dark Hole.
You would actually
Twins
think they
with,
worked on it
instant.
together, but they did not.
Yeah, not even a little bit. Yeah, Frazier plays instant and Calvin doesn't, and then Frazier plays strikes where Calvin side strike, and Calvin mains Sanctum.
Yeah, as we said earlier, a lot of people will notice that most people don't play the 2 Borbos, but right now, both people are playing 2 Borbos.
They both don't play. Oh, does he play Twin Twister?
Yeah, they both.
Yes.
Calvin plays. No, Frazier plays 3 and
Calvin plays 3.
Oh, they both play 3.
Yes.
So the ideal back rows for Calvin right now would be a
Sanctum.
a stopping trap, yeah, like barrier or sanctum, and then for the follow up, be the twin twister for the end phase for the.
Of course, I'm 5-0.
Yeah, I would hope so.
On my body.
When I pick up my deck and look through it, I use my left hand and my left thumb. So when I try it the other way, my deck always falls on the table.
That's good knowledge, man.
I watch a lot of these feature matches and stuff. I consume a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh information, and I always wonder which hand people do it with, despite them being left or right-handed.
Good.
Things are looking bleak.
All right. No. All right.
Been opening
Next
hand
game.
up, so.
Yeah. Had to try.
Yeah, I mean,
So let's
Oh, he
take a
did
look
it
at
to
the
it.
sideboard then. Frazier will be going first for this one, I assume. And so that means he could side in Lullaby of Obedience, most likely. He will also, probably at Lullaby of Obedience, but maybe Enemy Controller as well. Depends on how he wants to go about that.
Enemy Control is a very strong mirror card.
It is.
Yeah.
It's better going second significantly more so, but it's pretty strong. It's versatile.
Yeah, I
You can
wouldn't
play
side it
first
in
and
going
second.
first, though.
I would not either.
Yeah.
It depends on what he wants to take out, though.
So this is a discussion we had earlier as far as Twin Twister goes in going second. So ideally, like we saw what Calvin did was end phase Twin Twister for the blowout, the
Yes.
scoop. But when you're going second, so first off your opponent starts with 5 and they'll make a play. And then on your turn, if you want to Twin Twister through back row, on top of you needing a play in your 4 cards, you need a card to discard.
Yes.
And your 4 cards have to break through, set a trap through that. So we usually, or at least I do, I side out Twin Twister going second and just play through back row accordingly until you're able to like establish.
Okay. I think Calvin's probably going to go about that differently because we know that Frazier's not playing any artifacts and he is playing Xyz Universe, which could be a huge threat if he doesn't get rid of it. But I can definitely see your point of view for that too. Maybe Calvin will take that one instead.
Because the worst case scenario is you hit a barrier, you're
Yeah.
negging your turn, yeah.
Yes, and that's terrible. You just discarded a card to end your turn at that point.
And Frazier has a tough position of he has to either play around back rows. So I would side out, I think honestly, Twin Twister overall against Calvin. Because
Against Calvin, yes.
he has
Maybe
no
he
good
can-
hits.
Yeah, there's nothing you
Yeah.
really want to.
The best you can hope for is set it and then end phase hit some stuff with that.
Yeah.
hit a scythe possibly.
I mean, end phase hit anything is ideal as long as it's not the sanctum and you don't,
Yeah, that's
or
what I was
unless you
thinking. You guys
don't
know
have
what
anything on board anyway, that's fine.
So as far as we'll reiterate for Calvin's trap lineup in his main deck, it's triple Sanctum, triple Barrier, a combo, and double Mirror Force.
Calvin will probably side out the fusion sub combo.
Yeah, Fusion sub combo again, it's something you probably side out going second.
Yeah. I think Frazier siding out the fusion sub combo as well.
Have your attention, last call for Pokemon if you're playing Pokemon Standard today.
You took out Regeki.
Tyler, hurry.
Regeki, I think
Yeah,
you keep main deck. You
I would
want some
keep
tempo
Regeki.
swing cards.
So
Yeah.
free.
And I think he's siding out Universe as well.
Siding out universe?
I think so. That's what it looked like.
Is an interesting choice. If that's true, I don't know if I agree with
Anti-spells
that.
going in.
Stupid to deal with. The deck's not good.
I was never a fan of siding an anti-spell.
Well, there's
I
a
am not
Universe in
either.
there. Yeah,
Not against this mirror match.
Same.
He's on me both games.
I think it's very good against the Metal Foes, obviously, and the Infernoids and the Evokes, but it is,
I was like, nice.
it's a card that you can easily shut yourself down with in the mirror match, and it doesn't really do well.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, they both went to the last round, I think, though. I was sitting next to the first guy I lost to.
Yo, Frazier anti-swells in universe, him is kind of, it's just over.
And then the other guy, I'm pretty sure, also did the same thing. I was like, nice. So I have no chance. And they were like 15th, and I was like, oh, cool.
I lost to Fergallis round 7, so.
Best tiebreaker I had. He finished like
Third.
almost,
Yeah.
so almost first. He would have finished first if he drew last round, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. I mean, yeah. Him, me, and Peter all the same round.
I think he took out one of the universes.
So as far as going
It's
first,
like not really winning.
how to counter the maxi?
I just never had.
Ideally, when you want to play with a heavy trap lineup, is if you play your first play and they max C, you would want to counter that by setting like 4 traps and passing. And your 4 traps not only save you for your following turn, like they're just good cards overall. Like if your combo went through, it was like game, just like how Calvin had. So you see Frazier did open up with XYZ universe. Another thing when a player has multiple lines of starter cards, such as like Terratop, Barrage, Tanky, Rat, in my opinion, against a mirror match, you would do just like what Frazier did, is to always put combo engrave first, because this also plays around maxi the most because they don't have an ideal time to maxi you. And also, or I guess they do have Ogre, or this is not an Ogre, but they have the Crow matchup, yeah.
Which is something to consider. I mean, for Maxi, you can really only hope to go for the draw 2 at this point right now.
Yeah, so this is where you would go for the to play around Maxi. You go to Broad Bull, and then you special on Broad Bull and Dryden, compared to special summoning on Tiger Mortar. So if he did Maxi here, you get a Surge, and on top of that, he'll get Dryden on board too. This is a good discussion point while we're waiting for Frazier to finish his turn. What do you guys think is a good defining feature in the mirror match?
What do you mean by defining feature exactly?
What sets you from winning and losing in the mirror match? I guess we all played Zoo in the tournament.
Yeah.
So what were your experiences in the Zoo mirror match, and what did you feel like you did differently to beat your mirror matches? Or if you lost, what did you feel like you could reflect on and better at?
Well, I think the best answer I can come up with is that it really comes down to how you utilize your resources. Whoever runs out of their stuff first, you know, they will lose the game if they have no way to keep recurring their all their Zoo cards. So, which is a huge reason why a bunch of people are playing 2 Borbos again for the first time in some events, actually.
Brian, I know you played 2 Borbos, but on top of that, you played 3 Dryadens and multiple Thoroughblades. When you talk about that,
Throughout the day, I found that tempo is the most important thing through the mirror match. If I could outpace my opponent, whether or not I had more cards, I knew that in the long game, my deck could just outlast theirs. So being able to make a being able to play 3 Trident was very nice, because you could do things where if you were able to combo even a slightly on the turn 1 and ending with a Trident, if they couldn't cripple your board, you could play into a Maxi and you would end with just double Trident.
I guess
Emerald. So more often than not, my board was double Emerald, or my bad, double Trident Emerald, and because the Emerald was dead, I could Tiger in between to reset my Emerald, and then I would end with double Trident, and that they gave me plays that turn, and it didn't push into Maxi as hard as I needed to.
another great thing about playing the 3 Dryden compared to 2 is it becomes apparent in the when you're versus a Zoo Kaiju. So if your opponent resolved the Slumber and they have a Slumber engrave, it really doesn't make sense for you to end on Dryden. So how you start your combo off is if your opponent starts with Dryden and you summon a Zoo monster, you can start your turn with Dryden and then end with a different monster like Broadbolt, because they won't have the same need to like kaiju away your Broadbolt because it can deal with it. So if you have the counter to their back row, you have a floating Broadbolt, which is great. It's like a floating gear guide, essentially. So you just have to like line them up differently. So you start out with Dryden, you end with like say Broadbolt or whatever.
It's crazy how many different things you can do with zoos.
It's a great deck, yeah.
It's a very
You can go
diverse
about
deck.
the same combo so many different ways, and each different way plays around a different thing.
So there are there's someone in the comments that mentioned that Barrier and Maxi are very strong cards. So, like we were saying earlier, if you go first and you create a play where your opponent has, say, the ideal Maxi. So the ideal Maxi would be like off of the Invoker, then Maxi, and now you have to give them at least another card to end on Dryden. So how to counter that again is to set battle traps, because the Zoodiac deck doesn't really have any good counters to say like any Mirror Force type card, Universe type cards. They become very powerful because the cards don't naturally just disrupt them.
Thoroughblade's a strong card. It lets you draw, and it lets you get rid of combo out of your hand, and it lets you draw into more traps. Playing multiple of it was so good. I wish I played more.
When your opponent activates D Barrier, so as far as D Barrier, Maxi, Solemn Strike, Mirror Force, we'll talk about these two. They're ideal situations where you want to resolve them, because they all stun your opponent on a certain point in their turn, and you want to capitalize as much as you can on their turn. So a good question someone asked one time was like, when do you D-barrier your opponent? So when your opponent normal summons Rat, and they say they send combo to grave, do you D-barrier right then, or do you D-barrier after they summon, say, like, up to Broadbow to search?
I definitely wait until they detach something in order to summon the rat. That way they use more of their Xyz monsters.
I also think that there's multiple correct answers in that too.
Yes, it's very
Yeah.
situational.
If you leave the rat on board, you have the opportunity to whiptail the rat away too, which is cool.
And that's huge. That can
Yeah.
be a huge game changer. Because they're not getting that back. Gyzaris 370, yes, it is a zoo with the Black Sheep combo. Both players are actually doing that.
So Frazier has the. Am I speaking too loud? Can they hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
You're fine. Mike's adjusting.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
making sure you don't worry about it.
Frazier has a universe down.
Is my voice just loud enough for them to hear me over there? That's what I'm saying.
No, you're
Okay, okay.
No. You sound louder in the headsets because I'm turning you up for each.
I feel you.
Yeah, trust me, you guys are fine. I'll let you know if you're doing anything bad.
I went
Okay.
straight in the Dryden.
One of the different approaches to the deck, like we were talking about earlier too, is you have the luxury of going to Dryden first if you play more traps than your opponent.
What did Calvin target with Dryden?
Pay your attention if you're playing card.
I might have missed that, but I want to say he targeted the Trident.
No, the Dryden activated already on Thoroughblade.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, Calvin's Dryden. Calvin went Dryden over Rat immediately after Invoker. Oh, Dryden over a Whiptail. And then he popped something and Frazier's responding.
Give me a sandwich.
Well, he wouldn't target Frazier's Dryden because his Dryden's dead for the turn.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I
so
was
it's probably the Emerald. Oh,
He
no,
did.
he did target the Dryden.
And that's probably just to play it safe, I guess.
Yeah.
Make sure you can eliminate it early on.
It also kills the whip, or gets rid of the Whiptail in his hand. What does he get rid of it? It beats it for the turn.
Yeah.
Frazier can have the blowout here.
It's like
Yeah.
your nose is farther than somewhere.
Universe is down. Calvin also has Universe in his hand as well.
Calvin also has D-Barrier, I want to say, too, so you can set that as a follow-up. And then
The
prevent
cool thing
whatever
about
Frazier does.
Universe is it counters Universe too.
Yes, and I've seen that a couple times this weekend also. Just chain Universe to Universe.
Oh, I'm cheating. Okay.
And I've noticed a lot of people didn't know how to play around Universe this weekend as well. I didn't play Universe, but I noticed a lot of people fell victim to it and didn't realize they could like pop their own like Emerald with their Dryden. and then that would dodge
Might be
it.
the game.
So right here, Frazier has a difficult position to either trade his Emerald and the Tiger Mortar for King Cali, because Calvin has played 2 starters this turn. He normal summoned and he
Yes.
In case
Terratas.
you didn't hear,
Wait,
I
can he
would
take the
probably
Invoker?
do that now.
Make sure your
I would
name's on
probably,
it.
or wait until he does like another. He already summoned Dryden this turn, right?
Yeah, you already summoned Dryden
So
for
then
the
that's
turn.
not a problem. Then yes, he would Dixie's Universe now.
The tough thing is,
Oh, he doesn't. Not the Kali Yuga though.
you
Okay.
can't Cali, so on Invoker with that.
Oh, why is that again?
So Universe is the levels equal to or -1. So
Oh,
yeah,
I thought it
that-
was
that's right.
+1.
I thought it was +1.
Yeah.
actually it might be +1. Let's look it up.
Okay.
I think it's -1. I'll look.
It's been a while.
Shouldn't you know you main 3?
No.
It's probably -1. It has to be.
Yeah.
Or less.
Or
than.
less than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Flare Metal's not bad.
The issue with Frazier in that was, despite us knowing he had Universe, when both players were playing, and Calvin made the play to bring out the Tiger
Oh
Mortar.
god, and Face Twister.
Oh, so it,
Good.
yeah.
Next game.
So I'll continue that thought just to, when Frazier hesitated and paused, it showed what back rows he had left. So if you again bring it back to the snapshot of like, hey, what trap cards are ideal to activate at these certain points? Strike, Barrier, and already missed their windows. And the only card left was Universe. And if Frazier paused on only that specific instance compared to every other play and interaction, it showed that, alright, I have to activate Universe now, otherwise Calvin will just play around it. Despite him not having the ideal play around.
I didn't open up a hand trap.
I know. Now you're setting a 7th one too. Now you have extra ammo.
Another fun fact is if you activate XYZ Universe and you target 2 XYZs on the board and your opponent chains Dimensional Barrier, calling XYZs, XYZ Universe will try to resolve as much as possible. So the monsters will still go to the graveyard, but the XYZ monster that you're attempting to bring out won't come out.
The game's not over when your life is 0. The game's over when you get out advantaged.
Calvin is also playing the Luna Light combo.
It was over when you go.
Alright, so let's see sideboard again. Calvin will be going first for this one.
He's probably gonna keep in the universes or put the universes back in.
Universe is a card I think that's great going first and second.
Yeah, it's very versatile right now.
And maybe strike. I don't really know what he sides
It's odd
strike
that he's
for.
siding it, but this is just a classic Calvin move. He makes little unconventional decisions when it comes to the deck
My deck had
list.
more hand traps. I had 9.
I think a great thing about having these unconventional, or like, yeah, more or less unconventional thoughts is if you have enough evidence to why you do something and you support it, I don't think there's ever a wrong answer unless I just say I don't know.
So it could go either way. Like, it depends on how my tournament goes.
Well, Calvin's crazy. I'm good friends with the guy, and he makes a lot of choices for this specific reason.
It doesn't matter.
It might as well be I don't know.
Oh,
He can't justify it as well. But he'll try to justify it, and he'll come up with something completely different than what anyone else would think. But it works for him anyway. I
Yeah,
think
well,
that's
neither of us
crazy.
did, so 3rd time's the charm, right?
So
Oh, he sided against
strikes.
strike. He's putting the Luna combo back in.
Yes.
Taking out
as
the
he should.
universe. Putting an anti-spell, looks like. No, is he siding spell? Yeah, he does.
If they're doing the anti-spells, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with that either.
Mike's
Well, no, I honestly think that the Flying Sea might have done
Lost of Tom's
more
call.
harm to my
Bless you, Frazier.
Oliveri.
Sometimes, yeah, it's an insane card.
He'll watch the video later and be like, oh, thank you.
That was my first loss. But the way I lost my witches had nothing to do with what I was playing. He had 0 cards on my 7 cards, and top a Sanctum, and he had Invocation with Alistair Banish, and he pretty much going to 2 with no cards. I have 7. I have
Nicholas Ma, Brian Pham, and Vincent Bellafiore
Fiore, yep.
is commentating.
Now lose this game. So a top deck can be
That's
Blue 3 Master
Somebody the one got pushed back
21.
this time attacks it. I was like, okay, we sent it back. I go draw, activate Emerald immediately, draw another card. So I'm up to 4 cards in hand. I go Twin Twister, scratch Twin Twister, on your back, let's sync them. Toss my Invoker. Then next time he draws Dimensional Barrier, and I lose. I was like,
Over.
I was like, I've never played more ignorant games of Yu-Gi-Oh in my life.
It's a very well designed mat. I don't know if anyone talked about it yesterday while commentating. It doesn't seem
It's
like,
great.
yeah, I think it's like computer graphics mat, not like hand drawn. Oh, it was hand drawn. They're really, really
This,
good.
this artist does a lot of computer graphic stuff for ARG. We've seen their work multiple times in the past circuits. They've been looking really nice lately.
HD Kaiser Dragon is Black Troy.
And speaking of this mat, it was being sold today for a great cause. A player from Maryland unfortunately passed this past weekend, and the mat was being sold, and all proceeds from it went directly to the GoFundMe page to support his family in this time. So there was a good number sold as well this weekend, and that was great.
I'm putting these back on.
And they were for sale online as well.
Ogre's the only one that he's like.
There should be a link posted
Really would love you to.
on stream right now.
Flying seed. I'm tight.
Okay, excellent. So if anyone would like to donate by purchasing one of those great mats, please feel free to do so. It's going to a great cause.
The flying seed ogre.
This is actually the third Atlantic City ARG, and the first ARG we had in Atlantic City was during the release of Satellar Knight, BA, and Shadal. I think Aaron Furman won that one.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it
with
wasn't
Satellar
a
Knights.
very large event either. It was like under 200. And the second Atlantic City might have been one of the smallest circuit series we had, outside of like those in the Midwest. And it was during the ARG ban list, and that's when Ryan Levine won with his Psyframe. And this event today was 370 players.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it was larger than both the other two events combined. So it speaks really a lot about this format, and again, like what ARG is doing for the.
I just don't like
The
when people
Elvis
don't.
view.
I don't like when people don't shuffle,
Yeah.
but I 100% don't do anything to my death to manipulate. I still do.
Honestly, it's a crime that there aren't more people at ARG tournaments these days as well. You've had a great turnout today, this weekend, but it's surprising that sometimes there are regionals bigger than this, and people should definitely come out and play more at these ARG events. They're great for the players, great prize support, great competitive scene. Really no reason not to play in these if you're big into Yu-Gi-Oh!
Alright, so looking at Calvin's hand, he has a Sanctum Mirror Force and as well as Barrage. So like we said before, he has the counter for Maxi in the form of multiple traps. Is that Ogre?
That ogre?
That is Ogre.
Frazier side's ogre?
No, I know you have it.
Mains it? Oh yeah, he does. He means 2 ogres.
Oh, I don't know
Oh,
how
Frazier
we
plays
missed
6
that.
hand traps.
Like the card you use.
Okay, so earlier we were wrong. Ghost Ogre is a very real card to play around. We didn't see that on the list though at first, but Frazier is playing that.
That kind of just turns Calvin's play off for the whole turn.
So now Frazier has a tough position of playing around Mirror Force, Sanctum, and Barrier, or Strike.
The game was decided.
When playing into back row, what do you guys think is the best Zoodiac monster to throw out?
I would say Thoroughblade.
Yeah,
personally.
definitely Thoroughblade.
Having that 1700 or 1600 attack, depending on if you have tanky or not, can be huge. It's funny that we have advanced so far in this game, but we have just reverted back to the point where attack points are much lower than they have been in previous formats, and it can make a huge difference. If they shut down your turn with Dimensional Barrier, you still have a 1600 or 1700 attacker on board. That's kind of tough for them to clear.
Going into a game 3 and going into 3 back row and not knowing your opponent's deck list is very scary. Knowing that Calvin doesn't play Chain Disappearance is like understandable why Frazier would make this play, but in another scenario, I feel as if I wouldn't immediately throw Rat into back row like that.
It's very risky. Chain Disappearance is a very real card this weekend.
Outside of Chain Disappearance, throwing Rat into back row, I believe, is the best way to make back row activate. Because you
Yes,
want to
they
trade your
feel
monster.
pressured.
Yeah, you want to throw your monsters and trade them for back row. Because like if with the Thoroughblade reverting back to attacking the 3 back row, if they don't flip any of the back row, you only dealt damage and you didn't effectively trade a lesser card for something more warranted. And now when you make a monster such as Broad Bowl, you're risking your opponent gaining more advantage, but you're up in tempo with, again, comboing Rave.
My body and dimensional barrier.
So the last card I believe is Universe.
I didn't catch that last one actually.
I think it's Universe. I'm not too sure. I believe
Universe?
so.
So like we were saying before, how Barrier and then Whiptail combo through, and Calvin knows Frazier doesn't play Mirror Force cards, I believe, at all.
He does not.
So he can safely attack into it, knowing that nothing would go wrong. And him hitting a barrier, no, he wouldn't set a second barrier either.
Unless he was trying to dodge a Twin Twister, but I don't think that would be the case here.
So despite Frazier losing a rat, I don't believe he's in the worst position either right now, because he still has the same amount of cards, and all he needs to do is top deck a monster. Because Calvin's only up by one monster now, despite him having the combo. It's part of the deck, but it's not how you would win. How you win is to out-tempo with your monsters. And Frazier will be up a turn if he's able to summon. Because he has a Universe to counter it too.
Calvin's gonna get pretty far in this combo.
All you.
Well, it's not.
Alright.
Oh, he's whipped him.
Not looking very strong for Frazier at this point.
So now he has to play around Universe or...
Not like this. I'm having paranoid now because like I know you didn't have Mirror Force and I know you didn't have Frazier, but you might.
So you actually hear Calvin saying it out loud too, like what cards he's playing around.
Classic Calvin move. Alright. Let's see where he goes with this one. I thought he was going to try to play around Xyz Universe, but I'm curious to see how he'll do this.
I can never make a good read on Calvin.
That's probably
It's
why he
pretty
does so
difficult.
well lately. He likes to speak aloud normally like that, and it kind of throws off the opponents. But Frazier's experienced, so I don't think that would affect him at all. He should be able to have a read on him still. But yeah, naturally, Calvin is a very unpredictable player.
Dryden does play around XYZ Universe.
You can pop like your own other guy.
Then you're effectively trading your Universe for that one other guy. You're not getting the maximum value for what Universe is, but it's still just a singular trap that stops something. Here comes that post-pause play again. Or pre-pause play, there you go. A nice practice to do at home while watching these feature matches is, if you don't see your opponent's hand, what you can do is pull up a deck list, look at their traps. And as a person's playing player A into player B's back row, you can start looking for ideal windows of opportunity to activate these traps, and you yourself can start guessing like what traps they are as it resolves throughout the match, and see if you can accurately read these traps. He does have Universe, I said. I noticed yesterday on the Alter Reality YouTube page that there's 3 uploads for Spanish commentary.
Really?
That is pretty cool that they did that.
I didn't know that.
I consume a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh media.
Frazier is in a really bad position.
So right now, if Frazier were to Universe, let's see.
Dryden could just pop the board.
I think what you have to do here is wait for the second rat to come out. So now, Calvin still has 2 summons. So if he summons Tiger Mortar on top of Dryden, so if, say he Universes here now, Calvin
Then he
will
would
chain
just pop the...
or Broad Bowl.
Broad Bowl, yes,
'Cause
and then
Broad
you
Bowl-
can just Tiger Mortar and then.
Calvin made a good play in bringing Broad Bowl out because it's a very attractive card to Universal way compared to say like Borbo. So,
Frazier should be at 69. And Cal was at 8,000.
so if Frazier were to activate Universe here, Calvin would chain Dryden to destroy his own Broad Bowl, and then he put Tiger Mortar on top of Dryden to put the singular rat he has in circulation to finish the rat combo out, and then end with Dryden back on top. Because he has two XYZs left to make the play with.
Well, wouldn't he just pop his own Trident instead of popping the Bull? Because the Bull would give him an extra surge. And then he could still continue the combo
Oh yeah,
as
that's,
is.
actually that's a better play. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can pop your own Dryden.
He took 11.
He took 11 with
from
Bull over
attacking into
Whiptail.
Whiptail.
Over Grat, sorry, with 10
But I
Kyo.
don't remember him taking anything else.
That should be
actually.
the only amount of damage.
Well, this thing should be down like 3,000-ish.
So
I
this-
honestly don't recall. I guess Scythe probably attacked directly. That would make sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like
Okay.
the Whiptail attacking. So 33 total.
Frazier did have back-to-back tops, too,
Yeah, he topped the last ARG.
and he might have did well before that. I don't recall.
I don't
but-
follow.
Yeah, I don't follow. You have to remember, but
Frazier barely made it into this when he came in at 15.
Yeah.
And I was sitting right next to him last round.
Go ahead.
I'm tilted. Did I for Jesus? There's no way you didn't write storming on your list, right?
No, I don't waste on that.
I'm not stupid. Okay. I'm just literally tilted. All right.
You can't lose this one. It's not.
We'll see. I'll find a way.
Especially if your back row is there, I'll also scoop right now. By that.
I'll find a way. Alright.
Yeah, that's what I really took.
okay.
I was thinking about what you could have.
I
It
had
would have been
Universe.
universe like my body or yeah. It's yeah. It wouldn't have. I just found it.
Go check
I need to
into
not
this.
get
Yeah, it's
too
good.
close.
I was thinking like maybe Universe is very Dryden. It's like maybe if you didn't even have Universe, there's no winning like,
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
But there's no winning either way.
Alrighty, guys.
All right. Well,
I could've-
you beat Frazier.
I could have
Hey.
played
Cut to
that a little
commercials
different, I
real
guess. I had Crow.
And we'll be back
Okay.
with top 8
Yeah.
of the
Okay.
ARGCS Lake
So,
City
I could have played a little
as soon as
differently,
possible. Don't go away.
but I don't know.
Maybe. You did. You. Four traps.
And then
Yeah.
So,
So,
like,
and like my hand,
the ogre was good.
my hand wasn't like.
And your follow up is depending on what you draw. You didn't have follow up.
I had a Tinky, and I was really nervous about just like